Purple Daily is daily Vikings entertainment. We just want the Vikings to win a Super Bowl before we die.
I will ride with this group.
Seriously, man. Please.
And away we go.
Okay, so I believe the last words out of Declan's mouth before we hit record were, "Oh God, we're going to piss some people off with this one today."
Yeah. We've been talking about this for a week now. Like, this came from, I think it was a week ago Tuesday, right? That you got a note that said, "Hey, guys, you're going through every permutation possible, but you're missing one very important one." And we're all like, you know what? We agree with you.
We explore all premises.
Yep.
We leave no stone unturned during Reckless Speculation season.
Reckless Speculation.
And the premise we're going to build our 5.0 offseason blueprint around is going to make some people very unhappy because we are going to trade JJ McCarthy today. There's your trigger warning. If the idea or even the hypothetical discussion surrounding trading JJ McCarthy, and then we could either go into Sam Darnold world, Matthew Stafford world. There's avenues, doors we could open here. But if the mere idea of a discussion about this, hypothetically, something we don't think is actually going to happen, but hey, we're here. If there's some fans that want us to go through this exercise, then damn it, we owe it to the Purple Daily fan base to turn over all these stones. But just a trigger warning on this episode. Just want to be fair.
So we're distancing ourselves from the thought, but we are going down a dark path.
Yeah, I mean, is it fair to say that?
Yes,
we aren't, like, if we were running the Vikings, we would not trade JJ McCarthy.
Right.
Okay.
But we also can't. But we also can't get on here every week and do like the same thing. So it's like absolutely necessary. Yeah. This is what 5.0 already, and the combine is, by the way, just starting. Like, it's just starting. So, like, the only responsible thing is to do the irresponsible.
Yeah.
Correct.
We have to explore all avenues. This is an avenue that this was a street you didn't want to go down, right? You've known for a long time, I don't want to walk down this street at a certain time of day, but we're going to have to walk down this street. It's the only way home for this episode.
Yeah. So we'll see where this lands in like an hour. If this is your first ever Purple Daily offseason blueprint episode, we go through the different phases of the entire Vikings offseason, the clearing more cap space, internal free agents, external free agents, and the draft. And we do it all in like an hour. And we see what happens on the other side here. So before we dive in officially, Judd, a shout out to MSP Plumbing, Heating, and maybe the air conditioning part might actually be in play this week with how warm it is in the Twin Cities.
Absolutely. In fact, guess what? That truck right there, it might not be that guy, but that truck's going to pull up in front of the Sports Dad's house today, and they are going to come in and check out my heating system, because guess what? They want to establish trust, and that's incredibly important. 100% family-owned and operated business committed to taking care of you and your family. Building trust is a big part of how they go about their business. When it comes to your home, nothing is more important than making sure it's safe. And how about this? MSP is giving away a free furnace this month. Book a $49 furnace tune-up, and you'll be entered to win a free furnace. You must book the tune-up this month, by the way, to be entered to win. For service, call 651-615-4292 or check out their website, callmsp.com. Callmsp.com. That's what Sports Dad did, and his house is going to be safer because of it.
So the first thing we have to discuss here is, hypothetically, what is JJ McCarthy's trade value? If you went forward and said, okay, we're gonna make a play and bring Sam Darnold back on a 3-year deal, whatever that is, and you decide, okay, this isn't what we thought was going to happen when we drafted him a year ago, but damn it, there's a market for him. It's a thin quarterback draft, and we think we can get a haul and still have a really good quarterback that took us to 14 wins or whatever last year. So McCarthy was the 10th overall pick last year. I think the fact that it's a light quarterback draft increases his value. Like, a lot of people saying he'd be the first quarterback off the board. Mm-hmm. He might be the number one pick in this year's draft. But then, like, the knee injury is going to decrease his value to some extent, and 1 year removed off of his rookie scale contract that's going to diminish his value a little bit. So I do have 3 hypothetical trade packages here that we can run through. But before we even get to those, is JJ McCarthy worth more or less than the 10th overall pick he was drafted for almost a year ago?
More. He's worth more. It's a limited QB
without
class.
stepping on the field.
Yes, it's a limited look. It's a meniscus. Like if he had torn his ACL and MCL and been carried off on a cart, that's a big concern. A meniscus is very standard. In fact, the fact that he missed the entire year and they did the full repair actually makes you feel better about his status. There's nothing in the history of sports that I know in football to say, oh my God, it's the start of a lot of problems here. So with that being said, a quarterback class that is what, 2 guys deep, if that, certainly not great. A quarterback class that McCarthy in, which was outstanding. I think there is no question. If we're going to shop him, and we're the Vikings, I think we have to shop him with a realistic standpoint of we're going to maximize him. So we're not like trying to dump him. We're basically saying we're going to go a different path because we're going to get so much back. So my answer is he's worth more than the 10th overall pick in last year's draft.
I think it's probably fair to assume the 10th overall pick is likely. I think multiple first-round picks, I have a hard time believing that. I just have a hard time believing that some team would give up multiple first-round picks for a guy who's already been in the league and hasn't really played a meaningful snap. Now, yes, if let's say JJ McCarthy went to college again, was coming out of college again from Michigan, he had another good year. They went to a decent bowl game. Maybe they didn't win the national championship, but he had a good college season. He would still be the number 1 quarterback off the board if that were the case. But given the fact that he has already hurt his meniscus, he's already been in the league, the first year is burned, I don't know if I can say that he is worth more than the 10th overall pick, though. I think that's the cap of the ceiling of what he'd be worth.
There's so many like team-specific caveats to this because, for instance, I'll throw one of these teams out. The Raiders. Now, Mel Kiper just had his 2.0, and we'll get into that in the next day or two on Purple Daily. But he actually had Shedeur Sanders falling past the first 6 picks, where there's a bunch of quarterback desperate teams, to the Jets at 7. So I think that tells you that it's an even weaker class than, like, it's a weak class in sheer number of quarterbacks. But then even like the fact that the first or second best quarterback might slip past 3 or 4 desperate teams in the top 5, past the Giants, past the Browns, the Titans, the Raiders. So if you're the Raiders, it's not that you're any less desperate for a franchise quarterback. It's that you don't love the 2 that are available to you. And again, this is all because maybe they don't love McCarthy either. But the fact that teams are, according to Mel Kiper, the godfather of mocking, that desperate teams are saying, I don't know about these 2 guys, is really interesting.
So I agree with Declan. I don't think you're going to get multiple first-round picks. But my first call, and I'm not sure where you're going to go with your trade scenarios, Phil. My first call is a very simple trade: the New York Giants, and I want the 3rd pick. If JJ McCarthy is worth, if we think that he would be the first overall pick in this draft, okay, and the Giants desperately need a quarterback, they need a long-term solution. Again, I feel like I am trading a very good player, and I don't see him as this damaged goods where there's a true concern. And by the way, if I'm going to trade him to you, you are more than welcome to do 8 or 10 physicals. I want the 3rd pick from the Giants.
Yeah, it's a lot. Like,
you just keep
10
doing
10 physicals is a lot of probing.
You keep doing. You know what? You keep running that knee through, but if he passes, I want that 3rd pick.
Not to completely open another can of worms, but would Bo Nix net the 3rd overall pick in this year's draft? Would you give up the 3rd overall pick for Bo Nix? Because if you say no,
I wouldn't, because I think Bo Nix has a lower ceiling than JJ McCarthy.
But to me that's insane because he hasn't played a snap. Like I think we are real. Like I think JJ McCarthy is the savior of this team. I know we're doing an episode where we're exposing him and trading him to keep Sam Darnold, but to say that JJ McCarthy, who hasn't played a snap, is worth the 3rd overall pick and Bo Nix is not, to me, is ludicrous.
But the way that this league works, Dex, is that promise often trumps what we've seen.
Yeah, it's kind of, well, I mean, Dex, you're a baseball card guy.
Yeah.
And sometimes the unopened pack is far more valuable than the open pack, because once you open the pack, it's like, oh man, bunch of duds in here. There's nothing worth more than 75 cents. So like, and by the way, the third overall pick is, here's the first scenario, because you nailed it. It would be, and we can fight over this, and Declan, like the Bo Nix thing is more of a taste. Like, I think Bo Nix has a ceiling, and I think he's a good quarterback. I think the unopened JJ McCarthy pack might have a gem or two in there. Leadership, the fact that Jim Harbaugh said he's the best quarterback he's ever worked with, or the best quarterback in Michigan. I mean, he's got a lot of people that are saying some incredible things about him. He's an unopened pack. So there is some hidden value there.
It's unopened.
But that's the first call you would make, right? Is the Giants for the third overall pick. And they might counter and say, dude, it has to be a swap. So let's do the third for the 24th and JJ McCarthy. You guys move up 21 spots in the first round and we get JJ McCarthy, is what they'd probably counter with.
Mm-hmm.
I could also see a world where the Raiders, I'll throw this one out there, with the 6th overall pick. This might be even more realistic, because the Giants can pretty well plan for one of those two quarterbacks if they want to fall into their lap. So, like, they could move up a spot if they needed to with the Browns or something, or even the Titans. The Raiders have to make a decision here in the next few weeks. Are you going to draft one of these two quarterbacks? Do you think they'll be there at 6? And the Vikings can say, why don't we just remove all the uncertainty? Why don't you just take JJ McCarthy, hypothetically in this exercise, off our hands and I would say like the 6th pick, and I'd strong arm a desperate franchise, a Michigan man, minority owner in Tom Brady, for a Michigan man in JJ McCarthy. And I would say, why don't you also give us like a 3rd round pick? The Raiders have a first, a second, 2 thirds, a 4th, a 5th, 3 6ths, and a 7th. They have 10 draft picks. So why don't you kick in one of those day 2 picks along with the 6th overall pick, and we move forward. Those are the first 2 phone calls I got 2 more for you, but those are the first 2 phone calls I'd make.
Yeah, and I think that I think both of them are fair calls. And look, the thing about the 3rd pick, though, is yes, it's the catbird seat to be sitting in. But if I'm offering you a solution at QB, which, by the way, might not exist in this current draft, and you're basically trading the unknown in the 3rd pick for the unknown in McCarthy, but a guy that I think the majority of football people agree would be the top QB in this draft if he were to have come out now. I think both of those they might hang up the phone, they might say no, but I don't think either one of them are insulting phone calls. I think they're both incredibly realistic phone calls under this scenario.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same Family Guy episode comparison we've used with the boat versus the mystery box. We've always wanted a boat, but a mystery box could be anything.
Mm-hmm.
We're doing the same thing, I think, with obviously the 3rd overall pick. And
it sounds like you are more of I'll take the boat, I'll take the there's a $20 bill, or there might be something else in here, and you are the bird in hand guy.
Yeah. Yes.
And Declan, I don't disagree with your points. I just don't think it's how the league works. Like I actually agree. Your points are valid and very solid. And in a normal world where common sense prevailed, I think that you're probably right. But this is the National Football League, and often common sense, the hope of getting a quarterback, in my opinion, especially one that would be considered probably the best QB in this draft, that hope trumps almost everything.
Well, and translate this to just the decisions teams make on draft night, right? Like there were conversations about the Vikings offering 2 or 3 future first-round picks to move up to the 3rd overall slot to get reportedly a Drake May, or maybe like JJ McCarthy. But they didn't move up very far to get McCarthy, but they were trying to move up according to reports to get somebody, and so let's insert Drake May. Well, Drake May was you're moving up on the hope and the potential that Drake May is who you think he is. And the fact that JJ McCarthy's car has not driven off the lot yet, there is still the same hope.
It's incredible, yeah.
That teams would have had a year ago. So, yeah, I mean, Declan, like, you're not wrong in that, okay, Bo Nix has actually done it on the field. But if you believed a year ago that if you had JJ McCarthy ranked above Bo Nix in your pecking order or your big board, I don't know that Bo Nix playing pretty well in a tricked up Sean Payton system as a rookie would move you off of your love for JJ McCarthy.
Mm-hmm. And keep in mind, I know Vikings fans are probably like, why is Declan obsessed with Bo Nix? I am not obsessed with Bo Nix. I'm just trying to point out of if we're going to do this with one player and we're going to do it from the same class and all these guys were kind of jumbled together, how come we don't have the same conversations with the same quarterbacks that were drafted from McCarthy's class?
I think it's fair to say this. When it comes to the subject of quarterbacks, and especially young ones, that reason is often lost.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's hope. It's hopium. Yep. That's what you're... So, okay, what's that?
Is that a drug problem? I got hopium. I got too much hopium.
Yes, it's a front office addiction. So, okay, two other just phone calls to have. I don't know if you would make these phone calls if you're the Vikings in this exercise, but these teams would for sure be calling you.
Okay.
The Steelers, who are never bad enough to be drafting in the top 5 or top 6, they do not have a quarterback. They have a defense. They have the longest tenured head coach. They've got this crazy streak of always finishing 500, but also no playoff success in almost a decade. They need their next Ben Roethlisberger. They need their next top 10 guy at that position. So again, hopium for them. So what are their? I mean, they could go get Aaron Rodgers for a year. I personally think that Sam Darnold would be great, but the Steelers might pick up the phone and say, hey, all right. We don't have the 3rd pick. We don't have the 6th pick. We got the 21st pick, which would be 11 slots lower in value than where you drafted him. So here's what we'll do. We'll do I'm looking at the Rich Hill draft value chart here. We'll give you the 21st. We'll give you our 2nd round pick, and we'll give you our 4th round pick.
Wow.
So that would be the equivalent of like the 10th overall pick. Mm-hmm. Where he was last year. Or we could say, cool, Steelers, that's great. That 4th round pick is nice. We'll take your 21st and we'll take next year's 1st round pick. Because this is where you would fight for 2 1st round picks because it's a later 1st round pick. Right. And then you give us another one, you're probably going to wind up picking in the 20s again. If the Steelers call with that, what do you say?
I actually want a little bit more. I want the 2025 first. I want the 2026 first, and I want like a 3rd round pick in either 2025 or 26.
Yeah, so that would be like the 21st, a 4th. Well, they have a 3rd too. So the 21st, a 3rd, or a 4th, and then next year's 1st round pick.
I am potentially solving their problem.
For sure. Like it makes total sense for them.
Yes. So that one I'm going to maximize as much as possible, and I'm not going to be fair.
And then you would have, let's say, Sam Darnold, and then the 21st and the 24th overall pick, plus 2 1st round picks in 2026.
Now I could possibly go up.
You could.
At 21 and 24, I've got a lot of control now.
You could stick and pick.
Yep.
And then a 4th team we'll throw in here because it kind of makes sense. The Rams. And this could work out in 2 different ways. It could either be Stafford goes to the Giants, and instead of Darnold going to the Rams, in this exercise, it would be McCarthy goes to Rams for, say, I mean, what they have to offer is the 26th overall pick. So it would have to be like this year's 1st, next year's 1st, and probably one of their 2 3rd-round picks this year for sure, kind of like the Steelers framework. Another scenario would be Rams get JJ McCarthy, Vikings get Matthew Stafford.
And you're going here.
And then I think you would float. The Rams would almost certainly have to float something else because, like, if we're valuing McCarthy as the 10th overall pick, I would tell the Rams a 37-year. He's really good, but he's 37, and we have to pay him for a couple years.
That's my sticking point.
That's not worth the 10th overall pick. So we'll give you McCarthy, who's worth the 10th overall pick, but then you kick back. They have 2 3rd-round picks. You kick back a 3rd and Matthew Stafford.
All right. And right now, people are screaming at this show. They are screaming.
Is anyone even listening anymore?
You guys don't want Darnold back, and you're hypothesizing Stafford. You guys are ridiculous. But let me tell you right now, this would be the all-in immediate scenario Think about this, okay? So let's say it's 2 years
man.
of Stafford with O'Connell, with a team that's pretty damn good, right?
14 wins.
And now there's no learning curve time. Like let's just say McCarthy starts and has a few rough games. It happens. He's young. But now it is plug and play, and not just plug and play, but plug, play, and win a Super Bowl.
Dude, the contract would be probably we're estimating the contract here, but let's call it a. I even put Stafford in here. I don't think he's even in the spreadsheet of glory boys.
No, he was
here. No, he is.
Oh, he
he's
was.
Here.
Okay,
No,
I thought he was. Yep.
Let's call it. He's asking. Sounds like he wants 50. You're going to redo his current deal.
Yes.
I think you probably settle on like a 2-year, 90, maybe let's call it like a 2-year, $96 million contract.
Okay.
So like $48 million a year.
Okay.
And then the number 3 overall pick. Where do you rank that one versus getting better draft capital and signing Sam Darnold to a 3-year, $120-some million contract?
I'd rather go. I personally think that scenario 3 or 4 right there is the most fun. But if we're having if we're being the Vikings and shopping McCarthy and being as responsible as possible, I'd rather have the higher draft pick.
Okay. Right.
So
I think, but to twist your argument around against you from like a week or two ago, you said if it's not McCarthy, you'd rather have Stafford over Darnold.
Yes.
When you trade McCarthy, to me, it's less about jockeying for like draft pick position. Like you want some comp back.
Right.
And it's more about let's go win a Super Bowl with a guy that has done it before, a guy who doesn't wet himself in big games, right? Like that's the Darnold fear. Or we're going to give a guy $40 million a year who literally had a complete meltdown and couldn't throw to a wide open receiver in the end zone. I would probably vote for the Stafford angle here.
Well, I think what I said was at the end of the day, if you ran these all by Kevin O'Connell, I think he wants Stafford. I do think that.
Mm-hmm.
Now, is that the most responsible thing to do? I don't know. But I do think that if you were to say your options are, we're going to trade McCarthy, so he's gone as an option. Your options are we're going to retain Darnold or find a way to go get Stafford. I think he's taking the Stafford door.
Okay, what if? Oh man, this is crazy. Okay, is there a 3-team possibility, sort of, which doesn't happen much in the NFL, where you go to the Raiders and say, okay, Raiders and Rams, by the way, are sorry, you're not getting McCarthy. Rams are not getting McCarthy. Sorry, guys. We're going to get Stafford, but you're not going to get McCarthy. You're going to wind up with Darnold in this equation. So Raiders, you get McCarthy. Vikings get the 6th overall pick and a 3rd. Desperate Raiders, a couple of Michigan men. Darnold then goes to the Rams, and I don't know that it would be a tag and trade in this case. I think you'd probably just go to the Rams in free agency. While Stafford comes to the Vikings in a trade for something that's not the 6th overall pick. It would be like the Vikings would swap the 6 and the 26, which is where the Rams are picking.
Yeah.
And kick in a sweetener. That gets more complicated.
Yeah.
But so we can push forward here in this exercise. Do you guys want... my vote is McCarthy to the Rams for Stafford and a 3rd for this exercise.
Dex?
I think I do that. Yeah, my brain and math is spinning as I'm trying to understand.
I think this is the most. I don't think this is probably at the end of the day the most responsible one, but I do think it's the most fun, and I always vote for fun.
Okay.
So I'm fine with it.
Reckless speculation.
This is your last chance to argue for Darnold instead of Stafford in this exercise.
Oh, I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
No. I would argue for the higher draft pick and draft pick compensation back, but I am not going to take the stance of, well, hold on a second, you've got Sam. No,
Okay.
I won't do that.
Yeah, I mean, I think there was a thought going into this offseason blueprint like a week ago that, hey, you trade McCarthy and then you keep Darnold maybe. But if you're going to trade JJ McCarthy, I want a more sure thing than
Let's
as
go
much as
for
I
it.
love Sam. And maybe hell, maybe there's another offseason blueprint where we do the idea of keeping Sam Darnold. Maybe that's one more to go. We can still do that. But if in this crazy reckless scenario, I want a better sure thing at quarterback.
Oh man, what did we do? Is anyone still listening?
Well,
Oh my God.
tunnel, Mikey.
Reckless speculation.
Well, you know what Matthew Stafford's going to need, Dex? He's going to need 2 men in a truck because he's moving from California to Minnesota.
Yeah, I think I can see the commercial now. Declan and Kelly Stafford doing a commercial for 2 men in a junk truck. They're the next big addition on their advertisement carousel. I'm going to be moving. Stafford's maybe they're moving. You got to get rid of all that unwanted junk. We're already starting to get rid of the junk here in our house. It's a huge problem. And good thing that if any of the obnoxious stuff, you don't want to worry about selling that stuff, just call 2 men in a junk truck. They want to simplify the moving process for you. So don't wait to reclaim your space. Visit 2meninajunktruck.com to find a location near you. What they quote is what you pay, no hidden fees or service charges. 2meninajunktruck.com to learn more.
Judd, let's also talk about Canopy Group here before we get to the free agency portion of the proceedings.
Absolutely. An in-state-based independent insurance company that has, and this is the most important thing, your best interest in mind, much like a sports executive, a guy like Kwesi, constantly on the lookout for the best talent available. Guess what? Canopy Group does the same for you when it comes to getting the best insurance coverage at the best price. They work with 16 groups of top-tier companies to make sure that you have the best insurance roster available for auto, home, health, and business. And at the time of renewal, they are going to make sure that you are getting the best deal possible. So they're constantly on the lookout to make sure that your interests are served when it comes to your insurance packages. Give them a call, 1-800-967-3389, or check out their website, thecanopygroup.com, thecanopygroup.com. The Canopy Group, always making sure that you have the best insurance roster available.
Okay, boys. Wow, this was quite the exercise. So what we've done here is I'm pulling up the spreadsheet of glory. We are saying goodbye. You'll see here for the YouTube audience, you'll see the visual. For the audio audience on Apple and Spotify, we will talk you through this. We actually, by trading JJ McCarthy pre-June 1st, we actually take a $4.5 million dead cap hit for this year because of bonuses already paid. That's fine, whatever. The cap is now projected to be $280 million, and the Vikings had like $60 million in dead cap last year. So
we're swimming in cash right now.
Not as much as we ordinarily would be, though, because we also just signed, if I could go over here, Matthew Stafford to a 2-year, call it $96 million per year, or no, $96 million total extension. 60-ish million guaranteed. I am projecting some of this. I think what you would do is tack a void year or two on the end of this. And instead of it being like a $48 million cap hit, you're taking a big signing bonus, you're prorating it. This might even be a little bit bloated for a cap hit, but I'm projecting his cap hit to be about $25 million with this new contract for 2025, which would be about 9% of the cap. So we got Stafford as the quarterback. We have $31.8 million in cap space. That also includes $4 million to the 24th overall pick. And I got to make a note that we do need to force the Rams later on into a 3rd-round pick back to us, right?
I love the force.
Once we get to the PFF simulator. So
long-arm teams.
So, yeah, do you want to let's start with just internal, external free agents. We can go back and like redo internal contracts if we need to. What do we need here, boys? What do we need now that Matthew Stafford is the starting quarterback?
Well, we need interior line.
Okay.
A guard, at least a guard, if not 2. We still need interior defensive line. Now, part of this also with the extra draft picks depends on what we're going to pick as well.
We have a first and 2 thirds and 2 fifths now.
Yep. But just going into the process right now, I think it becomes even more imperative than ever that your interior offensive line is solidified. And if I have one place to start defensively, it's probably also going to be up front.
Yeah, and part of Stafford's downfall last year was at the very end against Philadelphia was a rookie center who got a little confused on some of the protections.
Yep.
So he's not going to want to come in here with like let's go draft a center. This is where you'd either keep Bradbury because he's a veteran and Stafford might even make him better. Just, hey, let's work together on this stuff.
Yep.
Or you make a play for the Falcons free agent center, Drew Dahlman, who's he's projected to make about $11 million a year on the market. I don't think we're at this point. We could definitely clear 10, $15 million more in cap space. I don't know that we're in the Trey Smith business. It would be like Trey Smith and a bunch of scrub free agents, kind of. Maybe like one other starter. So I would say let's go get a right guard. Let's either go get hell, if we're all in, do we go to like Kevin Zeitler and say, hey man, one last ride?
Who just retired? It wasn't Zeitler, it was Zach Martin. Right?
Zach Martin retired. So we took him off the spreadsheet of glory.
Good. Yeah, I think what about McCarry?
Yeah, so Patrick McCarry, I love that guy. He's played all 5 offensive line positions, at least like 800 or 900 snaps. He was the starting left guard for the Ravens last year. It looks like Trey Smith sets the market for guards at like $21 million a year. McCarry projected PFF to be less than half that. And he's 27 years old. So you bring him in, Swiss Army knife. If there's an injury, you can move him. I'm good with that if you guys are.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Okay, so and plus let's get a little younger. We got a 37-year-old quarterback here. We just aged 16 years at the quarterback position. So we're gonna go Patrick McCarry, Baltimore, and his cap hit, let's say, is gonna be about at $9 million a year. His first year cap hit would be about $6 million. So it doesn't put a huge dent into what we're doing.
Nice.
Do we bring back Bradbury? Or do we say goodbye to Bradbury and bring in a Drew Dahlman and just have a completely new center quarterback exchange combination here? I almost feel like KOC wants Bradbury back as like a knower of the system, work with Stafford. Let's not create too much change here.
What's our potential for being able to go out and get a right guard then, like a Zeitler at this point?
I mean, big time. We've got $25.8 million in cap space. Zeitler, it would be a 1-year stopgap. But again, you're looking to win a Super Bowl right now.
Exactly.
So he's 35 years old, but still one of the best guards in the league. It'd be like a 1-year, $6 million contract.
Yeah, let's do that because now that the pitch is, hey, dude, we are set to go. We're cooking with gas here. We got Matthew Stafford.
We'll throw a void year on there too and take a couple million off the cap hit for this year.
I could do that sales pitch easy for him.
Yeah, you're sick of those Lions, right? Those chokers. He'll probably go back to the Lions, but for this exercise, we can. We could get into the Mekhi Becton business if you want to go 25-year-old absolute brick house right guard for $9 million a year, 10-ish.
So that would be $9 million a piece for both the guards. Then, if we're going with McCarr,
I almost feel like we should do it that way. Let's get young in the trenches. And plus, like realistically, Zeitler at 35, is he leaving Detroit for $6 million? Like Detroit's going to pay him $6 million, right?
Well, yeah, but we've got a juggernaut now.
We do, but Becton was a Super Bowl winning right guard for the Eagles last year, so he'd be more expensive. I think the latest was like a $10 million average annual value. My spreadsheet of glory here says $9 million. But that cap hit, let's call it $7 million for the 2025 season. Let's just see what this looks like. All right, we can go back on this if we need to.
All right,
we're whiteboard sessioning here right now. So we would bring in left guard, right guard, keep Garrett Bradbury, or restructure him. We could restructure him too.
Yep.
But this would give us still $18.8 million in space before we even talk about restructuring Brian O'Neill, maybe cutting a guy or two. Okay.
And let's I think we should just go ahead right now and pull the trigger on an O'Neill restructure as well. Okay. Because it's going to make sense for him if I'm not mistaken from our session last week, he has no guaranteed salary left. Yep. In fact, right there, he doesn't. So his restructure, I think, is a common sense move for the team and for him. Right there. There you go.
So restructuring him. Let's restructure, or I guess contract extension for Josh Oliver here. So we'll take him from the seventh highest cap hit on the team at 9.4. We'll do like he's only 27. maybe 28. So let's just save. You probably save about $4 million on that cap hit for this year. We're estimating. So boom, we just saved 4 there. And Metellus, let's say that doesn't get done. You kind of said this last week that's more of an August, September thing for him.
Yep.
And then we could save $1.6 million, I believe, on a restructure for Bradbury.
Sure.
I know people hate Bradbury, but if he has an incredible defensive reading veteran quarterback and upgrades at left and right guard, and he knows the system, he's going to have the best year of his career. So.
I'll just continue to say this. I don't see any way they're going to redo all 3 spots. Now, if they do, good for them, but that's a lot.
Totally. Absolutely. And you want to, I know you're bringing in Stafford here, but you want to create a little less chaos in other areas because you don't want 60% of your offensive line to be totally new. There's got to be some stability there. So, okay, so now we're up to $29 million in cap space after restructuring Brian O'Neill, extending Josh Oliver, which creates some cap relief in 2025. And actually, I got to put a minus on here. For Bradbury, we save, so we're actually up to $32 million in cap space, the restructure of Bradbury. Okay, Declan sent us a link. Let's get into the next juiciest part of this discussion.
All right.
Which is that there's a report this morning that star interior defensive lineman from Washington, Jonathan Allen, is on the trade block. 1 year left on his contract. He's not the same player he was a couple of years ago. This is a former 17th overall pick out of Alabama. He's a 6'3", 300-pound absolute behemoth who for a few years, like 2019 through 22, was one of the better interior pass rushers in the entire league. And he's, like I said, he's got 1 year left. His base salary is only $15.5 million.
He's going to want a new contract. Yep.
So you'd probably have to do like a 2 or 3 year deal for him.
Yep. No guarantee.
But like he'd be a plug and play guy right away that could help fix your interior pass rushing problems.
Probably wouldn't give up more than a third, if not even like something less, because like you're going to extend him. He's 30 years old.
Yeah.
Like, and Washington, like, you got to understand that, too. Like, you're not going to get a first or a second round pick for a guy north of 30 and is seeking a new contract.
Yeah.
So do we want to give up this year's third, or do we want to give up even something less of that?
Yep. And I think if you look at the story, my guess is that he has basically said, I'm not going to show up for camp if I don't get a contract. And so, like the Commanders don't have a lot here to try and demand a ton. So I'm with Dex. I think it's a 3rd or 4th round pick.
Is it a 5th? Because the Vikings have, well, at this point we have 2/3 because of the Stafford trade we made, and we have 2/5.
Yep.
Would it be a 5th and then maybe like some sort of contingent 2026 pick based on productivity?
Sure. Conditional pick. Yeah. I like that.
So we'll send, well, do we want to do this? The other and his, I don't know. He's going to probably demand. Let's pull up the defensive tackles contracts in the NFL and just see. Let's see. A little over the cap here. So, right, average annual value. The top 15 guys are all making $20 million a year. There's a couple comps here. So Kenny Clark is 30 years old with the Packers. Leonard Williams is 31. Those guys are at $21 million a year.
Yep.
So we're probably looking at, like, you'd rip up the last year of his contract. You'd do probably like 2 years. Maybe there's a void year or like a fake third year on that contract. $42 million a year or $40 million a year with a first year cap hit of, let's say, $12 million. I'm kind of riffing there, but for let's call it a 5th round pick and then something contingent based on productivity in 2026. Or we could just go and drop, like, in free agency, we could spend equal-ish money on one of these free agents we've been talking about. Osa Odigizua from Dallas, Milton Williams from Philadelphia, B.J. Hill, who's also 30 years old, from Cincinnati.
What's the price difference between these guys and going and making the trade with the Commanders for Allen.
So it would be pretty comparable to the top 2 free agents available. Now we're also doing we're doing the thing where we put those guys on the Vikings because this is the exercise, but the Vikings don't control those free agency decisions.
Right.
If Milton Williams wants to go sign with the Raiders, he's going to sign with the Raiders. This would be a way for the Vikings to control who they get. They would make a trade. Here's a 5th-round pick, and you are a Viking, and here's your contract.
Okay, yeah. Let's make the trade.
Okay,
and just go through, because again, the whole parameter has changed here now because you are in it to win it immediately. So age isn't as big a factor as it is if McCarthy is on this team when you're trying to probably bring the average age of the roster down. Now you are immediately trying to win a Super Bowl.
Kind of going full Rams a little bit here.
Full Rams, yeah, almost.
You are. Bleep
full
them
Rams,
picks.
baby. So, okay. We have $20.5 million in cap space left. Let's go to some of the internal free agents. So obviously, we're saying goodbye to Sam Darnold. I do think there's a case to be made at this point because you have a 37-year-old Stafford. Do you get into like the Zach Wilson business for a backup? But we can talk about that in a second. Byron Murphy Jr. and Cam Bynum are the next 2 really important pieces to discuss here because the secondary currently has 4 starters who are free agents. Byron Murphy, Cam Bynum, Shaq Griffin, and Stephon Gilmore. We can only afford to bring back one of either Byron Murphy Jr. or Cam Bynum with the cap space we have.
Do we have
or
a preference?
Neither of them?
I was going to say, do we have a preference when it comes to cornerback of going outside into free agency? Because I'm fine with bringing Murphy back, but we also could probably make a case that we could go out and try and get a free agent cornerback, possibly at a little bit less, not a lot less, but a little bit less.
Well, we last week we did the Asante Samuel Jr. contract, which is about $14 million a year average annual value, less expensive than Byron Murphy at $17 to $20 million. There are veteran guy DJ Reed, who apparently had a plane spotted at MSP at some point last week, would be the premier cornerback on the market at 3 years, $14 million a year. So you could go that route.
Ward's price?
Charvarius Ward is 3 years, $14 million a year.
Ooh,
projected by PFF.
Yeah, he intrigues me.
He's also one of the oldest cornerbacks out there.
Yeah,
29 years old.
That's the problem. That's the problem. I am personally fine with bringing Murphy back. If you guys are.
Let's keep it. We just made a huge shakeup and also revamped 40% of the offensive line. I think a little stability can go a long way here.
For sure. I'm good.
So cap hit. I'm just kind of estimating here. Let's call it you probably do like a 12. You're looking to push some money. You're pushing money into 2027, 28 here to clear some. You'll deal with it in 3 years is basically the motto here. So, okay, Byron Murphy Jr. is back on what will be projected a 3-year, 55-ish million contract. We have $8.4 million in cap space left. Our safety room right now is all right, hey, Harrison Smith, Matthew Stafford's coming in here, buddy. You're coming back for a year, right? So Harrison Smith, Theo Jackson, Jay Ward, and Josh Metellus.
Yep. We
could also go get into we've done this 2 other times in the first 4 blueprints. Justin Simmons is a 31-year-old, 1 year, $5 million stopgap, who was a few years ago one of the best safeties in the NFL, can still play a little bit. But it kind of goes to but Theo Jackson he's 27, right? So he might be the young spark that you need to blossom at that position too.
Right.
How do you feel about the safety room?
Oh, well, I have been on the Theo Jackson. In fact, I've been driving the Theo Jackson bus for quite some time now. So I feel like we should take that chance. But Simmons is not expensive, and the key there is if Jackson did struggle, he could be plugged in. Again, we'll come back to the point too that we are building a roster that we're not as concerned about age. So I wouldn't object to that. I do think that Theo Jackson deserves every chance to play, though.
I'll throw Aaron Jones out there too, because we don't have a ton of cap space left here. So Aaron Jones is a free agent. I did take the liberty, as we have in other episodes, to fill out some depth, bringing back Cam Akers at age 25 for a couple million, Theo Jackson, Johnny Munt, Jerry Tillery, Jahad Ward.
We've got more picks now.
Yeah,
I feel comfortable.
We don't
moving on.
We have because we picked up a third and traded a fifth, so we have a first, 2/3, and a fifth right now.
Okay. Oh, okay, all right. Yeah, we still have 2/3. You know what? Aaron Jones, thank you for your service.
Yep. I'm actually good with moving on is here too.
So we're saying goodbye to Aaron Jones officially. We could bring in, based on these projections, like you could bring in J.K. Dobbins to go along with Cam Akers.
Mm-hmm.
It'd be like a 2-year, $4 million a year average annual value contract. So first year cap hit, let's call it $3 million. Let me just plug this in and see what it looks like. All right. That way you'd have Akers, Dobbins, and then you draft a running back, and now you got three guys and if you need to like set Akers aside, you can.
Right. Somebody might not make the team out of training camp. Yep.
I'm fine with that. So our quarterback room right now is Matthew Stafford and Matthew Stafford. So
we can bring, you know what, Daniel Jones, you're going to learn from Matthew Stafford. Are you kidding me?
Afford him. We can't afford him. We got $5.5 million in cap space.
Yeah. It might have to be Nick Mullins or.
No, Zach Wilson is projected 1 year, $3 million. If you want to throw a young guy into
that's
quarterback rehab,
Zach Wilson.
Okay. Zach Wilson.
Come on in and learn.
You are a Minnesota Viking. Again, I'm putting slightly lower cap hits than the $3 million because they will be either pushing money into future years or dealing with it later in some other way. So, all right, that leaves us with $3.5 million in cap space. Our safety room is really suspect. Our cornerbacks right now are Byron Murphy, Mekhi Blackman, Dwight McGlothern. This is dicey, man. This is what's tough, man. You want to build out a roster around your expensive quarterback.
You don't have the draft yet. Let's get to the draft. We get to the draft. Okay. We'll address some of these needs.
Okay. And we can come back later and sign like Shaq Griffin after the draft if we want to, right? We can do that for sure. So, all right. So we'll get to the draft portion here in just a moment after we shout out Minnesota Rusco. Since 1955, Minnesota Rusco has been Minnesota's hometown remodeler, offering a multitude of home improvement products and services, whether it's windows, doors, siding, bathrooms, kitchens, decks, roofing, you name it. Cody and Casey have you covered at Minnesota Rusco. This company's been around for 70 years, and in the month of February, they're offering a great sale right now. No interest and no payments for 2 full years, and 70% off all labor on everything Minnesota Rusco has to offer. They'll remodel pretty much anything you can think of. You also get a free gift box, a mystery box with every single appointment. Maybe JJ McCarthy will be in there. I'm not sure. So if you're looking to make your remodel a reality, turn to the experts at Minnesota Rusco, minnesotarusco.com, serving Minnesotans since 1955. Also, Park Dental. So I just got my alert a little bit ago. Got an appointment this week at Park Dental. Get those teeth cleaned once every 6 months. And Park Dental has been great as my new dentist, over 50 years caring for and cleaning teeth in Minnesota and Western Wisconsin. I've even heard that they treat the teeth of some professional athletes in town. That shall go nameless. Stafford's got those veneers, right?
I think so.
I think Stafford upgraded those.
It happens.
Dex and Stafford can meet together at Park Dental and talk about their new choppers. But Park Dental, schedule your appointment online at parkdental.com. There's likely a location somewhere within a very close range of wherever you live or work. Parkdental.com.
I want a mock.
All right, boys. So we have reached the draft portion of the proceedings. I'm going to fire up the 7-rounder here on PFF for you both. We will be the Vikings. We're going to enter the draft, and what we have to do is force 2 trades. They allow you to force trades through their system. So we're going Rams here, and the Rams are going to send Stafford to the Vikings and a third. And the Vikings are sending JJ McCarthy. By the way, it says this trade will likely be accepted. So it is.
I don't think you have to force it.
I'll force it anyways, just for fun.
Yep.
Just to make
Because
sure.
you can.
Yep. Okay. And then we're going to trade again with Washington. And
There you go.
They're going to send Jonathan Allen. And what we are on behalf of the Vikings sending the 139 or the 160. I think we would try and send the 160.
Yeah, we'd try and send the 160 for sure.
How about it's the 160 and then it's a fifth rounder next year based on productivity.
Okay.
So, and obviously they're saying it's not going to be accepted, but that's why we're going to force this trade.
That's what. No, it is going to be accepted, and it was just accepted. Thank you very much.
There we go. So, let's see here. I feel like this is wrong because it says we have the 24, the 97, the 139. Did we not get that Rams third? Let's go to the trade thing here. Oh, you know what? Did I fat finger? Not. I didn't choose one of their thirds. That's what it was.
Okay.
So 2025. Let's say for the 90th. We want the 90th pick. I'm just gonna force this trade. Boom. They're sending the 90th. We get it for free.
There you go.
Okay, so now we have the 24, the 90, the 97, and the 139. And we're on the clock with the 24th pick. What are our biggest needs here, boys? Safety, cornerback for sure.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Running back of the future for sure. What are you thinking? Talk to me front office.
We've addressed guard. We've addressed interior defensive line. So, yeah, I think it's very much cornerback. In my opinion, it would be cornerback first, running back second, safety third. But those three positions are now where we definitely need some assistance.
So we could stick and pick. Who went number 1, by the way? Just curious. Cam Ward went number 1. Travis Hunter. Shedeur went 6 to the Raiders. Interesting. Omari and Hampton is sitting here on a stick and pick. We do have 2 trade offers we'll get to. Trey Amos, cornerback from Mississippi, is the top cornerback on the board.
Okay.
And there's the Xavier Watts, the safety from Notre Dame. So let's just see what these 2 trade offers are here, boys. Oh, the Rams.
They're back.
The Rams are back. So we've got 2, the 26th and the 48th. Let's see what the Rams want. So we swap the 26 and the 24, and we ask for the 100. Oh, we could pick up the 100th pick to move back 2 spots. We'd just be taking all the Rams' third-round picks.
Okay, let's do it.
Okay.
You guys good?
I'm good with it. Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. You're just going back 2 spots, and you're getting another pick.
There we go. Okay.
All right.
Killing it. All right, so the Rams take... Oh, and look at this. The positions of need are both still sitting there for us. We have 2 more trade offers just for fun, but it's moving back to the 36th.
I'm done moving back. Damn it, I'm going to draw a line in the sand. So
do you want running back Omari and Hampton from North Carolina, who's one of the top 4 running backs on the board, or the best cornerback available, Trey Amos from Ole Miss, 6'1", 190?
I think because it's such a deep running back class, I think I want the cornerback.
Okay. So too. Yeah. Yep.
You guys good with that? All right, we're taking Trey Amos from Ole Miss. And we're going to have the 90th, the 97th, and the 100th picks. We're back on the clock. Oh, our guy Deion Walker just went.
So safety and running back for sure here.
Lathan Ransom is the top player on the board. He's an Ohio State safety. 6'1", 210, 22-and-a-half-year-old senior, had an 82 PFF grade last year. Run defense grade, 93.5. Just hunting in the box.
Nothing wrong with that.
Let's go. Football. So I think based on need, we probably let's snag safety here, right? So we're beefing up secondary. You guys good with that?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
And now what do we got at running back available?
All right, let's take a peek here.
Wouldn't be opposed to drafting back-to-back running backs here. if it makes sense.
I mean, we do have Cam Akers at age 26 and J.K. Dobbins at age 26 under contract too.
Okay.
The Thor's guy, Harvey.
R.J. Harvey sitting here with the 105.
Yeah, I think this is
That's a Thor favorite, right?
Yeah,
it is a Thor favorite. Yeah,
he's our scouting director, so I think we should take.
209. Okay.
Yeah, last year for Central Florida, he had almost 1,600 yards, 7 yards a carry, 22 touchdowns for the UCF Knights.
Let's do it.
You are a Minnesota Viking? Okay. Okay, we're back on the clock with the last pick in the third round, the 100th overall pick. We've addressed cornerback, safety, and halfback. We got 2 picks left, the 100th and the 139. Dorian Strong. Do we take another cornerback here? Kobe Bryant and Dorian Strong. Kobe Bryant is a Thor guy from Kansas.
Okay.
Yeah, I think another corner makes sense.
So we'd then have 2 cornerbacks in the first 3 rounds. We'd have Dwight McLaughlin, premier UDFA from last year. We'd have Mekhi Blackman and Byron Murphy Jr.
So now we got some competition.
We got some dudes.
Yep, we got
some dudes
in the room.
We'll go Kobe Bryant here from Kansas.
Mamba.
Okay.
And with our last pick in the 5.0 Purple Daily Offseason Blueprint, it's the first pick in the 5th round. Traditionally, we'd like strategically, we'd probably trade back here and just accumulate extra picks for the sake of this exercise. We won't do that. Is there anything else? I mean, I think we should just.
What's the off-ball linebacker situation like right now? Interior linebackers.
Let me pull them up for you.
Because I do think that you need some depth there, some potential starting depth eventually.
This would probably be a trade back situation. So, let's just see real quick here. So, Miami at the 150, Pittsburgh at the 162. If we traded with Miami, we would move back 11 spots and we could pick up the 225, 232. We could pick up 2 7th-round picks. Let's just do that real quick. All right, so that worked. And then we could take your guy and Thor's guy, Cody Lindenberg, right?
Mm-hmm.
From the Golden Gophers of Minnesota. Or Kobe King from Penn State. Maybe that's the pick.
That's a higher ranked in this. Yes, let's take him. Let's take Kobe King.
And Penn State has a ridiculous defense. So
also traded your son away, so there's really
we have 2 Kobe's on defense now.
Okay.
All right, and then we'll just get 2 kind of 7th round, whatever.
You can take a quarterback here.
Oh man, you want to take Tyler Show from Louisville? All right, there's a quarterback right there, and then with Mr. Irrelevant, let's go. Do you want your second running back, Dex?
Yeah, let's do it.
You want your second running back?
Let's do it. Yeah.
Montrell Johnson Jr. from Florida, 5'11", 216. Dex gets his second running back. So there we go. Okay, let's see how they grade us, boys. Wow, what an exercise. Matthew Stafford.
Fans hate us right now. Well, they did after the McCarthy trade. They might be okay with Stafford.
Okay. All right.
They're giving us a B+.
Okay.
It's a B+.
Who don't they like? They don't like Kobe King?
Kobe King, they're not in love with.
That's it.
C's get degrees. That's fine.
Man,
that's
I'm going to download this here.
Right?
So to recap, and I know there's been people asking like, hey, can you guys put a full depth chart on after you do this exercise? We're working. I mean, it's on the fly. It's so hard on the fly. But basically, you'll see the guys in green here on the screen. Here's who we added and kept as free agents. So we added Matthew Stafford, or via trade, Matthew Stafford and Jonathan Allen. A really good. I think Jonathan Allen, probably not a 900 snaps guy, but as an interior pass rusher, that dude is still a boss.
Mm-hmm.
Zach Wilson, welcome to Quarterback Rehab University. We revamped the offensive line with Mekhi Becton at right guard and Patrick McCarry at left guard. And we brought in J.K. Dobbins to split time with Cam Akers and R.J. Harvey and whoever else may compete there. We kept Byron Murphy Jr. So our cornerback room, Byron Murphy Jr., Mekhi Blackman, Trey Amos, first-round pick from Ole Miss, and Kobe Bryant, third-round pick from Kansas, plus Dwight McLaughlin. So we got 5 good young players, and Byron Murphy is one of those guys too. And we brought in Lathan Ransom, safety from Ohio State, in the 3rd round to go along with Theo Jackson and Harrison Smith and Jay Ward.
Yep.
I mean, this is pretty aggressive. You wanted an aggressive, mind-blowing 5.0 blueprint. Matthew Stafford is here. No.
There is no margin for error in this one.
Nope.
It's go time.
It
is go time.
Yes.
We could also, we do have a couple million, like $3.5 million. We could go get, there's another peripheral piece. We could go get a veteran or something, Shaq Griffin, whatever. But how do you guys feel before we say goodbye here? How do you guys feel? That was the most like off the walls we've gone with this exercise.
It's difficult. It was fun, but I don't know that I would go back here again. Like it's like a vacation. It was a fun one-time fling here. But the thought of trading McCarthy is definitely a difficult thing for me to accept. But we had to. We did it. And I do think the Stafford thing is at least that, and O'Connell like makes some sense as far as what O'Connell might like and want to work with.
Yeah, this is a crash and burn episode. Like we're going to go all the way. We're going all the way in. We're trading the future quarterback. We're kind of getting older at quarterback and Stafford. We're trading for Jonathan Allen, who's obviously in 30 as well. It has a high ceiling and a deep floor. It could go one or two ways, but I'm for it. Let's have some fun.
This could really blow up.
I legitimately think this team as constructed would be in the hunt for NFC Championship game. The Eagles are, and there's some buzz that the Eagles might go get Myles Garrett. The Eagles are ridiculous, but this would be fun, man. This would be fun. So, all right, you can roast us if you want in the Purple Daily YouTube comment section. Should we all be fired or should we all be extended for what we just did in the 5.0 blueprint?
Who knows? It's going to take a season.
That's right. You got to extend us. Yeah,
we all just get fired. That's it. There's no it's black and white. There's no gray here.
So yeah, let us know. Hit us up. Click that like button and the subscribe button. And also, we're going to be on lookout for Kwesi and KOC talking at the Combine today and let you know what they say. We just want the Vikings to win a Super Bowl before we die.